Hey y'all, it's When Pigs Fly Magic Hour. I love this OJ song. All right, right on free. Yeah, people all over the world join hands. Don't need no ticket. Join hands. We may be a little bit just into a half hour today instead of an hour. I've been really reflecting on, my time and my willingness to share and be open. But also, I got to admit that, I want my propers as well. I want to be acknowledged. And then I had like a huge lesson just like within this week. It was like, Goddess, if you don't acknowledge your own authority and power, how do you anticipate other people will acknowledge that? It's like, ooh, that was deep. I mean, this magic hour really is about acknowledging how important it is to love yourself 24/7, 365, to love yourself 24/7, 365. And what does that mean? That means of every waking day and night because you're sleeping, but in every moment, in every breath, loving that I am here, loving who I am, the good, bad, ugly, and all in between, really understanding that all of the lessons can be turned into blessings. And that the idea of karma, what goes around comes around. And when you learn that and you can integrate that and embody that, what happens is that there's no more karma in that way. When I got involved in the metaphysical community, it really was about um, me poo-pooing people. I had no respect for people that read cards or claimed they were psychic or any of that stuff because it all felt foo-foo. I didn't feel real. But I recognized that was just my own reflection of, not appreciating myself and not feeling like I could do that. Fast forward many years, I understand that I have a different way of intuiting and understanding and appreciating the non-seen, the non-physical, using all of my senses. I have a lot of experience, like just being Renata, Goddess Renata, Mimi, Mrs. George Dunkel, Beanie's mom, stepmom. I have a lot of embodied experience. All of us do. I feel like that's my point. And so as I move into really understanding, stepping into my power, or being who I am, or just loving the good, bad, ugly, and all in between, what that really means is I just learned to love what's showing up. And then to focus on the stuff that feels fun. And sometimes I don't know I'm not having fun until I recognize I'm not having fun. Or then I get maybe like a little resentful of somebody that seems to be having more fun than I am. And then I ask myself, well, so what's up with you? Why do you kind of feel like you're out of the you're out of the fun game? I'm noticing for me that these reflections that I've always been able to own, pretty much. I don't run in the other direction, not any longer. Because those reflections are powerful reflections for me when I catch them in the moment. And I know now that I can shift things in the moment, like whoop. I can choose to move ahead. I can choose to have momentum. I can choose to embrace the stuff that's right in front of my face and then look at it and go, wow, you mean I can have that be different? And then the answer generally is, yeah, you can have that be different. You just didn't know that you could. And I think that that happens for a lot of us. Like we don't know that we can change things, that we can shift things so rapidly. I understand that. When I say I understand that, that's the stuff that fluffs me up. I get that. I feel that. I know that in a lot of ways. And when I step outside of my thinking brain, in fact, one of my great saying is stop thinking for understanding. That's a magical little thought if you can pop it into your head when you find yourself trying to figure it out. Oh, we can all tell if we're people that get locked into our brain set, our mindset. I was thinking, I say thinking is highly overrated. A lot of us get we need to heart it more. I feel. But sometimes when the feeling gets like too deep, we project it out. I mean, that's a magical nugget of wisdom when you recognize that you do that. When you recognize that people show up in our lives, oftentimes, not so much to jab us, although that does happen. They show up in our lives, at least this has happened for me. They show up in my life to reflect back to me how I'm being in all levels. And then I'm the one that takes the reflection in, and then I take time with it. I say, I embrace to erase. I embrace it. And oftentimes it's taken me, just using me as an example, many years to embrace something. Even though I said, oh, it's rapid. In the span of time and galaxies and all of that and this universe, this little time frame I'm talking about, when I say years, somewhere in my psyche, I have an experience of many things. And so when I say, that amount of time, 1, 2, 3 years, really is like just a snap of the fingers, it really is. I mean, check it out. When you reflect on how much you've grown, I mean, this is the magic hour. So we're talking about turning, lemons into lemonade. So let's reflect on how much you've grown. Some of those major challenges that you had when you were younger, who showed up to assist you with those? And I bet you can remember the time when you overcame that particular challenge. And if it were a little person in your life, a little person, right? That challenge represents a little person. Let's play that. That challenge you had that you grew up to really embrace and acknowledge that little challenge, like that little person. When you recognize that you've chosen to acknowledge that little person and then bring that little person along inside of you and appreciate the lesson and the heartfelt expansion that came with embracing that part of you, you kind of smile at them. And you go, I so love you for that. My little girl inside is always wants to be seen. I've been destined to be out front, not to be a wallflower. My forte. I have a unique way of doing things, of saying things. I understand a whole bunch. But far be it from me to acknowledge that as a part of who I am. You know that saying that I talk about a lot, there's a lot of carrot dangling. I only have that saying because I would follow the friggin' carrot. And like I say, the carrot dangling. It's time for people to stop following the carrot, eat the carrot, expand your vision, expand you, expand your light. Well, back to the story. I was a proverbial carrot follower, and I'd bite off a little bit and expand my vision, but I was kind of impatient. So I like, well, there must be more. And so I would follow and I would follow. So you can call that seeking. I was an avid seeker. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I studied so many different kinds of things that I know. Are any of you like that? But when I think back about that process that I allowed to happen for me and unfold in my 68 years, soon to be 69. Happy Heart Day to all of you as well. Happy Heart Day. I marvel at my wisdom. I mean, Dr. Sam would say your inner Christos wisdom. I'm in this 12-strand DNA activation course with Dr. Samuel Lee, Eternal Life Tribe. It's pretty deep, but in the same hand, it's like it's meeting me right where I'm at. There's a different terminology and some aspects that are really foreign to me, but because it came to me, I decided to check it out, and it's cool stuff because I'm meeting myself right here, and it feels like it's some good tools that I would like to integrate, to embody at this point in my life. So that's what I'm doing. And in fact, I'm running and is this happening to you? I'm running um, into situations in groups and meeting different people that are reflecting back to me my brightness. I'm just at a point now where I'm receiving it. I'm allowing it. I mean, I spend a lot of time seeking, eating the carrot a little bit, but seeking, because I gotta tell you a secret. It's a deep, dark secret for a lot of us. It's a get closer on a really deep level. A lot of us feel like we don't and are not enough. I'm going to say it again. A lot of us feel, I know I did, like I was not quite enough. If I just got a little bit more information, a little more knowledge, a little more something, there's that carrot dangling, I'd be good to go. And I'd been waiting, and I have been waiting my whole entire lifetime, this lifetime, to have someone tell me what I'm going to say to you. You're it in a bag of chips. You're what you've been looking for. I'm like, what? So I'm saying that to you right now. If you have forgotten that, if you don't know that, if you don't know that you'd be that, you're it in a bag of chips. You're good enough right now just the way you are. You're perfect just the way you are. The only challenge maybe is that you don't think you are. There's that thinking stuff. Thinking is highly overrated. Now, it's true that along our path of learning and appreciating the lessons and turning them into blessings, sometimes we think that shit's a curse. And we go back in our lineage to bring it forward. And we think because our ancestors had that going on, that we have that going on. We are the choosers, not the losers in this game of reincarnation, in this game of being here now, in this game of seeding a new earth, being co creators on this planet at this time. You are not a mistake. And once you decide to be awake, awake like a wave, like a tsunami, but sometimes we feel like a ripple, like a trickle in the faucet. That would be okay, because you can fill a bucket up with a trickle, a drop at a time, and have some useful water. Just like you can turn on the faucet or the spigot to water your garden, or the faucet to run a nice hot bath. Do you remember that little saying? Universe doesn't care if you go to the river with a thimble or a bucket. I have lots of little witty sayings that I've heard along the way, and that's probably why I express myself in the way that I do with my little witty sayings that I write. You're it in a bag of chips is one of my favorite ones. I love kettle. What about you? Celebrate you. Invite you to your party. Marry you. Love you. Be surprised. Surprise. Be surprised. Surprise and praise. I love that. Surprise. Be surprised when you discover who you are not. And that's kind of how it's been for me, with that carrot dangling and seeking, and now just being, understanding and recognizing through contrast who I am no longer, and then allowing the new flow to come to me and through me via the experiences that I find myself in. I mean, that for me, that creates a magical timeline. Magical timeline. This is when pigs fly. Magic hour. Pigs really do fly, you know. I mean, you could take and put a really cool Happy the Flying Pig on an airplane, and then when people would look up, the pig was so big, like, oh, pigs do fly. I'm just saying. It's a metaphor. And in fact, the way I named this group, When Pigs Fly and Unicorns Roam the Land, the idea of having a school platform to gather people together and create community of some sort based on the kinds of experiences I have. And for $9 a month, it felt like a great deal. I don't even remember how school came to me, but I was flipping or doing something, and then there it was. And I was able to make that decision at that $9 a month. Geez, this is a no-brainer. And it was pretty easy for me to step up and do that. Oh, actually, it was through my Substack. And I was watching an interview that was done with somebody that I had followed on my Substack. And she was being interviewed by Arlen Hamilton. And the person that she interviewed said that she made like $16,000 in a day. Me being retired and, having my little side hustles, I'm like, ooh, a side hustle that bought me in $16,000 a day would definitely give me some travel time to, the different places I'd like to go and lay in the sun. And then my Georgie and I could, have a lot more fun traveling and laying in the sun. Our list is not real long. So I thought, I want to check her out. So I listened to that interview, and then it was Arlen Hamilton, your first 5K, your first 5,000 online. I went and looked her up, and I discovered she had a rather interesting past and was not born with a silver spoon in her mouth. In fact, quite the opposite. I was impressed by her story and the energy that she shared. And to be in the membership, your first 5K online, your first 5,000 online, it was $50 for the year. Or she even took payment $9 a month, but $50 for the year. 5-0. In my numerology, when I talk about five, it's about freedom. It's about change. I took out my credit card. I signed up for your first 5K online. That was back in August. So August, September, October, November, December, January, February. So about 7 months or so, I've been in this your first 5K, and I've since gotten into a few other groups, but instantly I started my membership. I set it up. I did what Arlen Hamilton suggested. The membership is $50 for the year. It's a no-brainer. And I've got like 5 members. I love them. And that's what this When Pigs Fly Magic Hour is about. And sometimes we have people show up and sometimes we don't. So I just make use of the time to talk about things that are useful for everyone. And then I just post them. I'm getting a lot more savvy about that. And really being able to monetize content, I resisted that. Like being online is not real communication. Yes, it is. I have met some of the coolest people and made some of the greatest connections in just a few of the groups I'm in. I am in the Teacher's Lounge, which was another one that Arlen had recommended that we sign up on so that if we had questions about navigation or that kind of thing, we'd be good. And Allison Saunders and Arlen Hamilton like co-owned this particular membership, the Teacher's Lounge. And it too was $50 for the year. So I immediately signed up for that. So in August of 2025, I invested $100, pretty much. That's it for the year. I have grown exponentially by allowing myself to be and then to glean all the stuff from listening and feeling. None of it is a straight trajectory, like, well, this happens and then this happens and this happens. No, we're multidimensional. That's what that means. So we have multidimensional sensory perception all the time. We're smelling, we're hearing, we're feeling, we're tasting, we're knowing, we're higher selfing, we're bringing it all in, we're integrating. I call it embodiment. I call it appreciation of our time now. I call it watering and nurturing the soil. I call it picking the low-hanging fruit. I call it eating the low-hanging fruit and being appreciative of being here at this time on this planet as we're creating anew. So part of the magic for me is embodying who I am and appreciating myself 24/7, loving the good, bad, ugly, and all in between it. Everything that shows up, everything that shows up, everything that shows up can be turned into a blessing. Albeit, it may take a bit for you to allow that blessing or to recognize it and then to appreciate it. That's okay. We got lots of time, lots of time, lots of time. Time being elusive as it is. So part of the magic is paying attention to the growth process, keeping you in the center, claiming neutral as often as possible, and surrounding yourself in beauty. The best ever, authentic, unique. I need another TY, an acronym for beauty. Tenacious you. Best ever, authentic, unique, tenacious you. Beauty. Beauty and the best. Beauty and the best. Being excited, sustainable, safe, and together. Beauty and the best. Beauty and the best. Isn't that cool? Beauty and the best. There was a fairy tale, Beauty and the Beast. So many metaphors out there in fairy tale land. And in Matrix Land, isn't there? Beauty on the outside, beast on the inside. Beast comes to take her over until she recognizes she's the beast. She learns to embrace, to erase, learns to love the good, bad, ugly, and all in between. The beast is the male, she's the female. The emergence of. I mean, you can go deep with metaphors and a lot of the philosophies that are there, and I haven't studied nearly any of them. But I am an eclecticist. I dive down just enough to feel the truth in things. And then I've learned to develop and to really honor my intuition all the time, 95% of the time. And it's taken me a while to appreciate that particular skill. So, for instance, when I show up with you in the When Pigs Fly Magic Hour, or I show up in the Teacher's Lounge run by Allison, or I make comments in the Eternal Life Tribe, or in there's a couple other groups that I'm in, or when I'm just sharing, doing my conversations with Goddess Renata and friends, my blogcast, I'm connecting. I feel a lot of things and I honor them. I hold a special container for others to catch their reflection. Let me say that again. I hold a special container, which is called me and my presence in your life, my presence, my embodiment in your life at that time. I hold a container by which you can do just like I do. Catch your reflections, look at them, embrace them to erase them, and choose to have momentum and to be fluffed up from all your inner wisdoms, to be appreciative, to be in gratitude. Did I say to be appreciative? And to be in love with yourself. I didn't say to be in arrogance with yourself. I said to be in love with yourself. And love is what? You know, I got lots of acronyms. Love is living only valuable experiences. And who decides if those experiences are valuable? If we don't, or I don't, or you don't. Oftentimes, the drama of the trauma is the blessing in disguise. And the repetition of that drama in the trauma sometimes is that, we just haven't allowed the movement that lets that particular aspect drop off and allows something that reflects the growth and maturity in that to rise up. So it's like a scale. Are we sinners destined to go to hell? Well, I kind of think hell is if you don't love yourself and appreciate who you are at this particular time in life and you're seeking and feeling like you're not enough, that's hell. That's like help. This takes too much effort. I feel lonely and lost. Help. This takes too much effort. I feel lonely and lost. That'd be hell here and now. We are the essence we have been looking for. We are the love. Everything that we do unto ourselves and embrace it and become it, we share it out. It's not a thinking thing. Um, a learned skill, a technique, a technology, given for sure. but there's more of the unseen, multidimensional aspect of us and our existence. That's the real juicy stuff, the real bowl of jello, the real bowl of jello that we move around in. That's kind of a nice metaphor. I like jello. But one, I like chips too, kettle. But I like a bowl of jello too. Remember that jello when you were young? Maybe you don't. That jello used to have it would be like the green jello and have the carrots in it. That was some good stuff. Or the jello with the marshmallows in it. Our moms were pretty creative back in the day with making food, weren't they? I'm just saying, I don't feel that that I missed out on any of the delights of growing up. Uh, Anyhow, I'm not saying that it's not important to pay attention to the different kinds of food that you eat, clearly, because our food has been tainted and messed with a lot. So I read labels, but if it's something I want to partake in, I do. I don't voodoo my own self if I'm eating it. I remember when I quit smoking many, many years ago. And, subsequently I started smoking again and letting it go. But, I've chosen to just let that whole thing go. So I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. But the first time that I did that many years ago, and the visual of someone doing something and then beating themselves up for it, like being in conflict about it. And I had not been smoking for a while. And I recognized, like, oh, this is that choice stuff. And my mom smoked, and my mom smoked. So I grew up in a smoking household, but all of my friends that I had attracted around me for years did not. So the decision to not smoke was supported by the energy I surrounded myself with. I guess that's the first point. And then I had this visual of birds flying and being tired and sitting on a pole and then wanting to take a break. So they pull out the cigarettes and, they're sitting on the pole and then they smoke a cigarette. That would make me smile. So that was like number two. I surrounded myself with people. I didn't consciously know that I did that, but I surrounded myself with lots of non-smokers. And then I was able to create little images that made me laugh about the fact that I would want to smoke. And so then I think I took a few different herbs to kind of help my liver detox. But fairly soon I found myself on the other side of smoking, and it got easier and easier. And I remember a client coming to the store one day that I used to own, and she said something about that, oh, like I shouldn't smoke. And then I said to her, like, I feel you on that. I love my cigarettes and coffee in the morning and on the pot on the toilet in the morning, all that stuff, and after dinner. You get me. But I said, but feel about this now. Where's the wisdom in, enjoying something and then after you do it, beat yourself up for it? Like enjoy and then flog yourself. I said to her, I call that conflict. And then we had a conversation. I'm like, what do you call it? So, our final, exchange of words was, well, you know what? Allow yourself to smoke that cigarette and then, enjoy it. Enjoy it. And then when you don't do that anymore, enjoy that you don't do that anymore. In hindsight, that was some profound wisdom. And that feels like a magical nugget as well. I'm just sharing my experiences with you. And if you can take that and apply that experience, it doesn't have to be smoking, it could be yelling or drugging or stealing or not having a nothing or pissed at familying and whatever it is, that thing where you want to be better about it, but you're not, so you beat yourself up for it. I call that conflict. And that idea of embrace to erase is how you uh, meet that conflict right in the middle. You neutralize it by looking at it, and then you decide. Decide. There might be another word for decide. Decide might be choose, and then you choose. Because when I just said that word decide to you, and then I'm talking about thinking is highly overrated, it feels like that decide is up here. And that mental masturbation that goes on, it goes on back and forth all the time, all the time, all the time. It doesn't ever stop, but you are in the middle of that. And you are the co-creator, and you are in the neutralizer. You're in the middle of that, back and forth, back and forth. And so is the heart. So feel about that and allow yourself to feel a new choosing. Huh. Allow yourself to feel a new choosing. That's pretty much it for that nugget of wisdom. I call this the When Pigs Fly Magic Hour, so that means 60 minutes. And the last few ones we've had, I haven't had like, a real great participation. So I had decided I'll probably make this a half hour because then I can use some of this footage for some other things. That's called using your time wisely. So let me just check in and see what our timeline is like. Oh, it's 11:40. So I've almost gone an hour. It's amazing how I don't even plan these. I mean, I intend to share my wisdoms. I intend to, make you laugh. I intend to reflect back to you that you have your own wisdoms that you can embrace and your own little ditties that you can sing in your head and your own wisdoms that are rising up more powerfully inside of you. You just have to look at them, allow them. I like to keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. And yeah, part of my journey in this life was, being an addict. So I learned in, Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, that acronym, keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, Sally. Keep it sustainable and safe. Kind. Intuition. Sustains. Solid. We can transmute everything and anything that comes to us and through us. That's pretty much my biggest message. And the rest you get to make up. Let's do a little card pull though, just to close off, because I love doing that. I've already shared a couple of little witty sayings that I use all the time to fluff myself up, and you're welcome to use those as well. So let me pull out one of my decks, and we'll make that happen. Be right back. So this is my God Mints deck. When I began writing, this is one of the first decks that I created. And my mentor and I were going to speak at a spiritualist church. I do remember that. And my mentor, William, had encouraged me just to keep writing back in like 2017, just to keep writing. And he said, Renata, don't worry what you're going to do about it. Or don't worry about what you're going to do with your writings. Just keep writing. So I did. I have lots of journals. And that's where my inner wisdom sayings come from. But my God Mints deck, I had started writing sayings down based on the acronym GOD. Because I had a serious religiosity phobia. It felt to me like a lot of religion was just like rules and bull, rules and bull. And I was never forced to, go to church except for on the major holidays like Easter, get the cute little outfit. But I didn't have a deep connection with any religion, and therefore I didn't have a lot of religiosity. And I'm really appreciative of that because I don't have to dispel anything. And I can embrace my divinity, my God and goddessness, my greatness that's inside of me. So can you. So can you. But William and I were gonna speak at the Spiritualist Church, and I'd started writing little sayings or acronyms. And so that morning before the presentation, I had several of these cards written out, So this is my first tangible deck. And so I got up in front of the presentation. I still think I have a video of that. And it came to me that I could just, shuffle the cards and then real good, and then just pull them and talk. And that's exactly what I did. So let's do that right now. We're only going to do one or two, okay? And you know that I think the dropout is a cool thing. So if something drops out, I'm going to pick that up. But if it doesn't, let's do, okay, that one kind of shuffled. So let's do three, and then we'll end the magic hour. And I'll see you next magic hour, and I'd love to see you in the membership. I will go ahead and post the link for When Pigs Fly and Unicorns Roam the Land. And then I've got some other things that'll be happening that are pretty cool. So let's stay in touch. I'd love to get your email. Um, there we go. So the first one is what? Generate one dream. Acronym for God. Generate one dream. Gratitude on demand. Gratitude on demand. That was not a God myth. Gifts of divinity. Gifts of divinity. I've got a few of them mixed up here. Gratitude over denial. Sometimes it's gratitude on dial. All right, now, this is Goddess Renata. And Pigs Fly Magic Hour. And I'd love to see you in the membership when pigs fly and unicorns roam the land. All right, now, you have a great, great day. Oh, again, and happy heart day. Oh, and let's end with a little bit of music. I'll turn up, join hands. Turn to the innocence. I'm going to turn this off now. Bye, all.